this is BookTube. BookTube is a subculture community dito sa YouTube kung saan ang mambabasa ay nagre-react ako sa mga kwentong kanyang binasa para sa future na mambabasa. Ikaw yon. Kung ikaw si Overthinking Pen, please note that this video is not meant to hate, berate, humiliate, or cause tea or drama sa'yo, sa inyo at sa community nyo. Fuck that. I am not here for that. I don't actually give a fuck much about what other people are gonna say or think about me. I'm really just here to read books. And if you're here for the tea or drama, you can get the fuck out. I know, what kind of a booktuber tells someone to fuck off? Right, so this book is the first of the Young Love series. You can actually just read this off from Wattpad. The author still has this book on Wattpad for free. I'll put the links in the description, darling. Oh, and before I actually begin, I forgot. If you have the attention span of say a goldfish, you can actually play this video in 2x speed. This book is actually published under Manila Pop, and these are actually under Precious Pages, which, if you're from the Philippines, you know what that means. Precious Pages is actually one of the biggest local publishing houses here, and it's very established. That's all I'm gonna say about it. They published this in 2024. You're probably wondering, where the fuck is the energy right now? It's not here with me. I haven't had my coffee or my matcha, which is not entirely sucky. Let's talk about the author, Overthinking Pen. So Hannah, or Overthinking Pen, started her Wattpad around September 3, 2013, I think. I got that right. According to her website, yes, she does have a website. She's 23 years old, and she is actually a Filipina. She's from Bulacan, and she writes a lot of light stories, maybe a little bit of emotional plots here and there. And she actually focuses most of her characters' emotional struggles rather than that of some exciting plot. So the writing time for this book on Wattpad is actually June 24, 2021, and then she finally ends it on July 5. So she wrote this story in just 12 days. How? I mean, it is a short story, as you can see right there, but we'll talk about that later. The SRP, or the price of this book online via Shopee, is actually only 190 pesos. It's not included here, but yeah, it's only 190 pesos. Links in the description. I don't really have a delivery time for this one because this was given to me by Precious Pages via Miss Toni and Erich. By the way, thank you so much, Erich, darling. As you can see, this is actually a paperback. There, that's why we can fold it like so. I think the paperboard used for this one, the cover, yeah, it has a sleeve. I think this is around like 270 GSM, which makes it a little bit, foldable like so, but I could be wrong. The sleeve print is actually printed on a super glossy, or just gloss one-sided print. That's why we have that. And then this one, it's actually pretty cool. There's not a lot of print here on the cover itself, so I'm just gonna talk about this one. Ta-da! Actually, ta-da! Right, so let's talk about the spine first. So the spine right here, we will see, or rather you will see, the logo of Manila Pop. I say because the text, or rather the book itself, is actually quite small. It's just like very much pocketbook size. The text is actually hard to read if it's from afar, or if it's going to be alongside other books. What am I getting at? If this were placed in an actual bookshop, unless you're actually gonna go look for this book, you won't find this so easily. The binding for the book is actually a perfect bind, which is something that a lot of publishers here in the Philippines do. I say the signatures are also well stuck together. Yeah, the glue. They place a lot of glue there. This is actually great, especially if you're doing like a mass production or commercial production for a book. Okay, for the back cover though, this one. Can you see that? Like this, the blurb itself, it looks like it's a tad bit angled. I don't know about you, but what do you think? But yeah, that is definitely angled. I mean, I can still read the blurb. It's still pretty clear, but unfortunately the illustration sort of overpowers the text. If I may suggest, maybe put like a translucent little bit of background for the text, just so the text pops up. Anyway, so we also have like the black ink logo right here, and we have the barcode. I don't know if that's really something you'd like to know, but there we go. Let's talk about the inside pages. So right from the get-go, you can see that there's nothing here. I mean, there's no author signature, which is fine. I'm actually okay with that. So, Manila Pop logo design is by Segundo Matias Jr., Adele Sales, and Gloria M. Cipriano. Editing and layout is by Raylander Musni. Cover and inside illustrations is by Anatomy. Yay! Congratulations, guys. Now, how goes the paper of this book? It's actually a cream paper. It's actually an uncoated cream paper, which, you know me, I actually do appreciate that. I actually do like the texture of it. You hear that? I say the text is around 11 to 12 points, so it's not really that hard to read. As a person with eye problems, this format is actually great for PWD or readers with eye problems, such as myself. How about the space for annotation? Well, as you can see, it does have some ample space right here. The indentation. I would not recommend you write on the actual book if you are an annotation yapper like me. I would rather go for maybe get yourself a post-it and then just write from the post-it and then stick it on here. In terms of highlighters, right? If you are a subscriber of mine, you and I both know that I do use a lot of pigmented highlighters. As you can see right here, this is highly pigmented, but if I flip it, see? No pink. Not a lot of pink. It's supposed to be somewhere around here. Maybe a little bit. But it's not entirely going to show up at the back of the page. That's how much good the quality of this paper is, which is actually pretty surprising. Because for a price of 190 pesos, and then they can produce this kind of quality of paper for a book. I don't know about you, but for me, that's actually a plus. Because then I won't have to worry about my annotations seeping through the paper. I wouldn't recommend using fountain pens though. I use, where is my pen? This is a Pilot G2.7 pen. So that's what I use. I'm no longer gonna test the bind because it's so fucking obvious that, look at that, see? But if you really want me to test it, okay, fine, let's, see? So the reason why, just an explanation, the reason why I'm doing this is to like really show you that the binding is really sturdy. Because if you actually compare it to the other books, from other imprints and other publishers, yeah. Some of their books, some of the pages of their books, it falls out. And if you just open your book, the pages would fall out. But for this one, obviously it doesn't. So, yay! This book actually does only have 127? Yeah, only 127 pages. That's why it's this thin. So I finished this around 2 to 3 hours yesterday, roughly around that time. Because I was also eating breakfast. Actually, it was a brunch. It does have 14 chapters available, including the prologue. But on Wattpad, it has around 19 parts. There's no inclusion to this book. When I got it, it's just this. Alright, so the language of this book is actually Taglish, which means it's Tagalog English. But most of it is English, which I highly appreciate. Are there other languages in the story? No. Are there any trigger warnings for the story? Nope. I think this story is suitable for ages like 13 and above, for teens and YA readers, if you're into that. How about on the Wattpad page? Is there any trigger warning on the Wattpad page? No, because like I said, this is a light story. The genre of the story is a light romance, school setting, slice of life. Okay, add fiction to that. It only has 2 narrators, but the last one is actually, you can read the guy's POV in the story, and they're both in first-person POV. Question: would I buy this book? Yes. If I was another person, maybe, I'm watching another booktuber talk about this book, yes, I would be intrigued. I think this book is actually great for readers who are just in it to read short stories, or, just someone who's trying to be introduced into romance, or rather light romance. If you like stories that are actually in school, and it does have that will they, won't they trope, check out this book. It's an easy read, very short read kind of story. And I think this is exactly the kind of story, if you're a teen and you want to gift something for your friend, that's actually a good one. Right, so let's start talking about the main characters. So this girl, this one is June Rain. Now, actually, the story starts around the start of their semester, of their school. So it's around June. I don't know, but I feel like here in the Philippines, it's supposed to be raining around June. But right now, the rain starts around August. I don't know why. Global warming. So June, our protagonist, and she is under the ABM strand in school. ABM stands for Accountancy Business Management. Now, what I like about June is that she is actually very relatable. She's actually very easy also to root for. June is a character. She doesn't really push herself to be, oh, you have to like me because I'm a protagonist. No, she doesn't do that. Like this character, the way that she was written, it allows me to understand her situation and made me like her as I was reading the story. And I like that. I like that for any story. I like it when the characters, or rather the author, allows the readers to really gradually get to know the characters in the story. So this is kind of like, oh, this MC is not going to be in your face. Now, June is actually progressive. She's a likable main character, and I actually felt cozy reading her monologues and her dialogues. She's introverted. We finally have an introverted main protagonist. Thank you, Lord. She's a wallflower, and she does not want to stand out, which is exactly what a wallflower means. And the thing about June is that she doesn't really understand the value of her character around all of this shining, absolutely blossoming characters around her. I think for a lot of introverts, you would actually appreciate June's character because she sees us. She sees us. And the thing about the author's writing here is that she absolutely nails that part of us, which something goes along the lines of, June is actually just okay with existing, but she doesn't want to stand out. That's actually her friend Louisa's job, to stand out. June's like going around the class and she goes like, oh, you know what? I'm okay. I'm just going to sit here. I'm just going to enjoy whatever it is that you guys are doing. I'm just going to watch. So that, for me, as an introvert, that gives me the cozy vibe. And I personally appreciate that about her character. I felt so seen. Okay, one of the things that I didn't like about June's character, though, I mean, she always compares herself to a lot of fictional things. I mean, she goes on to talk about, oh, I'm not the main character in some film. Like, darling. And she also goes and compares herself to the other characters in the story, particularly, like an example, her friend Louisa. Because her friend Louisa is someone... maybe she's a 10, like face-wise, personality-wise. She's more of the extrovert friend who adopted the introvert friend. And then she also does compare herself with the popular girl, Daniela. And June closes herself in a box. She goes on in her monologues and then she goes like, oh, I'm not the kind of person. I can't be appreciated. I can't be like that, and so on and so. But why? That for me is insecurities. I don't think that's part of her being an introvert. No, it's actually just screaming insecurity, you know what I mean? For some reason, she's insecure about herself. I mean, she did mention in page 105 that she had shut out people in fear of rejection. So because she has that, she's constantly just pushing people away, even if they are the ones trying to connect with her. Oh, by the way, I appreciate that this author actually wrote a healthy female relationship. I mean, healthy female friendship is what I'm going for. Because there's a scene here in page 104 to 105 that I believe a lot of young readers should actually read more of. It's not always about, oh, she's insecure of me because she's popular, and oh, she's like this and like that. No, that's not it, darling. In real life, they're actually genuinely good female friendships. They're not jealous, they're not insecure. And I really think that authors should be writing more about those kinds of relationships, especially if their audience is more on the teens and young adult market. Because, you know, the insecure female friendship is so cliche. All right, now let's talk about the guy. Sorry, this guy right here. This is Rave. Oh my god, okay, can we just give Hannah, our overthinking pen, a slow clap? Oh, that's not a slow clap. Yeah, that's a slow clap, because she actually managed to write a green flag. I'm so fucking tired of reading stories from Filipino Wattpad that does have a stern, stoic, super rich boy, kind of egotistic, rich male character. And then people are going to be celebrating them as like, oh, this is such a green flag. Honey, he's not a green flag. He's just tall. If you are looking for the correct way, or one of the correct ways of writing an actual green flag of a male character, check this book out. Now, what I like about Rain's character is that, number one, he's so understanding of June. Like, he doesn't go and impose himself on her. There's a part where he's like presented as this glowing, fantastic, sort of absolutely hot character, which he is. But he's not forcing us, the readers, to instantaneously like him. Like, he's a simple guy. Yeah, he's tall, he's handsome, fine, he's also rich. He does own a car, but you know, it doesn't really matter. Like, who gives a fuck? And the author actually made me like him simply because he's pretty demure at times. And again, it's the little things that he does. You know, he goes and approaches June in such a way that she's not going to be surprised or overwhelmed with his beaming energy. Yeah, I feel like if I'm going to compare it in a trope scene, she is a sort of black cat energy and he is a golden retriever. Another thing would be June likes her space and he also likes June's space. That's actually pretty funny. Rave pays attention to a lot of the things that June likes. If you read his POV, he actually goes out of his way to actually really understand what it is about June that makes her different from all the other girls in their class. And in this house, we appreciate male love interests who are like that. It's really the little things that he does. It's the little quirks that he has in the story. Negative attributes, we don't know that for Rave. I think Overthinking pen absolutely wrote Rave from a female gaze. So that's actually pretty cool. And I love her for it. I actually do support that. All right, now let's talk about the themes of the story. The story actually do talk about social exclusions, more from June's perspective. Because she's a wallflower, you know, she just tends to look at people from afar. She does have a lot of observations around her classmates. She genuinely just exists. That's the mood she's going for. It's like, you know, I'm just gonna sit here. I'm just gonna look at you guys, and then she's actually enjoying herself, which for me, I actually do relate to that. I just like people watching a lot. Contrary to what a lot of people think or say about me is that I just like to exist. I don't want to exist in your space. If you choose to go to my channel, if you choose to approach me, like, that's on you. Because you won't see me approaching other people unless, of course, I do know you personally. So in an event or a place or some other setting, you would not find me approaching people, but that's mostly because I'm actually really afraid of people. I know, what the hell am I doing? What am I doing? Why am I on social media if I'm actually afraid of people? This is what June feels like. The story also tackles on the fear of rejection. I think a lot of people, including the characters here in the story, they are somewhat afraid to be rejected. Because come on, who's not afraid of rejection? Maybe really confident people. But confidence, according to Maddie from Euphoria, confidence is stupid. June's character is very sensitive when it comes to that. I mean, even as people are approaching her, you know, they're curious about her. They want to get to know her. They want to befriend her. And all the other characters just has their opinion on June. Like, oh, she's actually very pretty. I think she's cool. I think she's wonderful. But June doesn't recognize that because immediately in her brain, oh, you know what? I don't really have a lot of value because I look plain, because I look boring. If you hear our dogs, that's really none of my business. But anyway, that's what's going on around June's head. To which I say, what the fuck? If you're someone who does have the same mindset, girl, boy, darling, because just like June, you won't realize your potential if you're always going to go on about, oh, people don't like me. Why? Has someone told you that? And even if they did tell you that, it's actually a them problem, not a you problem. Why? Because that's something you can't control. Why are people so constantly so petrified and so manipulative that they want to control other people's business? You can suggest, you can tell people some things, but it doesn't mean that that makes it true. Or for an example, someone tells me, oh, you know what, you're fucking ugly. All right, okay, that's your opinion. Doesn't mean it's true. So, yeah. June has that. Rejection and all that. As I've said, this book actually displays a strong female, healthy friendship, which, thank God, because I actually really do believe that a lot of authors should start writing that. I'm actually just really fucking tired of reading manuscripts after manuscripts and stories that females, or rather some female friendships, are toxic. Like, they go for their boyfriends and all that. Bitch, shut up. Not all female friendships are like that. Some female friendships are actually really cool. Kind of like June and Louisa's friendship. And I love Louisa for that. I do. Anxiety and overthinking. So because June already has an idea, or rather an illusion in her head, the anxiety and overthinking of things goes into her brain. And she goes on in her monologue saying, oh, you know, I'm just a plain person. I'm just a plain girl. I'm not really worthy or valuable, unlike all my other classmates like Daniela and Louisa and whatever character that is. Like, that's not it, darling. That's not it. You know, sometimes our brains lies to us in order to protect us. And that's why you have to have someone or your own people, your own circle to tell you that your brain is stupid. Like, you're being stupid. And if you actually start telling yourself, oh, you know what? I'm like this and I'm like that. And I'm gonna go and tell you, bitch, what the fuck? That's not how I see you. That's not how I see you. So you need those kinds of people. You need those kinds of characters. Because our anxiety and our overthinking, it's just here. It's just here. It could be deeply rooted in you. That's not how people perceive you. That's not how some people see you. And really, you just need people to tell you that and assure you that you are valuable. Okay? You as a person, there's a reason why you're here, and that you need to start recognizing your own value in order for you to understand that you are not a wasted space. Like, sure, okay, maybe you're not the main character in your whole life, but you don't really have to treat yourself as someone disposable. You're not disposable. You're actually really okay. And then you need to start opening yourself up to meeting other people, because meeting other people is going to allow you to grow. And if you stop growing as a person, that's not going to be good for you, because there's actually a plethora of people out there is going to teach you a thing or two about life. And when you already have that wall against you, I mean, sure, walls are nice, boundaries are nice, but not to the extent that you're going to keep yourself in a bubble. Don't do that. That's not going to help you. I know, easier said than done, but that's why you have therapy. Also, this book also discusses the healthy relationship trope, which I know a lot of you are pretty much toxic about it. I said what I said. You know, not all fictional stories needs to be toxic in order for it to be good, because this book actually proves that. This is actually a really good book. I actually do really enjoy it. Lucky for me, this is just the first book. This is the first book of the series. So I already also have the second book. Yes, I'm gonna read that shit. Oh, and about the school. Yes, as you can see, they're in the school. You know how it is with some story that, oh, they're in the school, but they're not actually learning anything. They're not doing anything school related. Well, this one does. And that makes it all the more realistic. I mean, the setting, it sets up the reader, allows us to explore the school itself. They show the hallways and there are students there. You know, they show us, Overthinking Pen shows us that this is how you write a school setting. Thank you. Now let's talk about the star rating for this story. I would rate this book a whopping 4 out of 5 stars. I know, I don't give my 5 stars that easily in this channel. That's just how much I like my 5 stars. So how is the overall quality of the book? Physically, I think for a price of 190 pesos, this is great quality. I think a lot of authors are actually sleeping on this imprint. If you manage to actually watch this video up to this point, I highly recommend that you aim for Manila Pop, because Lib, Pop Fiction, what else? All the other imprints on Wattpad, they're already swamped, right? With a lot of mostly known authors. I mean, don't get me wrong, Overthinking Pen does have her own or their own community. But if you are an aspiring writer, or if you really, really can't help and you really just want to be published, try Manila Pop. Because the quality-wise, darling. Cream paper. You actually do have a sleeve. Even without the cover, it's still nice. You see that? It actually does have a gloss to it. Paper-wise and quality-wise, this is actually really good. It's a nice pocketbook. If I was just a random reader, right? And I'd be curious about this, yes, I would be definitely fucking curious about this. You know, it's so handy. So nice. I could just put this in my bag. The branding of the book is such a Wattpad aesthetic. I think it just needs a little bit more development on the cover. cover? Because I actually did notice that some of the Manila Pop covers, they're not uniform. I mean, the drawing style, it's not uniform. It's not like this. But maybe that's because those are like the previous versions of Manila Pop. So I highly recommend, please hire a specific artist to do all the rest of the Manila Pop books. Because if you're actually working on the branding, you would like to have one specific style for all of your books. Branding equals consistency. And if you don't have that, how are people going to remember your brand? Also, the color palette. The color palettes used in this story, that's actually really nice. Sort of watercolor rendering, and I actually do like that. Maybe do this for the rest of the stories that's gonna come out for Manila Pop because it's actually really nice. Now, how is the ending quality of this book in particular? Not the whole series, just this one. It's not overwhelming. It's not sad. It's actually a very great ending. It is a short read, which I also really like because I'm just being casual about it. It's a weekend, and I'm just thinking, I just want to pick up something light because I'm actually reviewing a lot of manuscripts right now, and those manuscripts are a lot of smuts. Those are international manuscripts, by the way. So having this in my bag yesterday, I was like, oh my god, thank you Lord that I actually picked this one up. Because it's light, it's easy to read, it's cozy, and the ending is very satisfactory. Do I think that research is done for the characters? Yeah, well, unlike most of the romance stories in the Philippine market, I think Overthinking Pen does have an edge. Like I said, since it's a school story and this author actually showed that the students are actually studying, the interactions are mostly placed in the school setting and they're learning, they're doing exams, you know what I mean? That is actually a good part of it being a research. Plus, I actually did learn a thing or two about ABM Strand. And then there's also a part where, there's a part here in the story that showed that if you're late in school, they close the gates and then you're gonna have to pay something, which to me, that's actually something new. So again, it makes the story believable. Here's the thing. I think the school itself became a character because this author did not shy away from describing what the school looks like, what the students does. And it definitely added to the atmospheric and thematic themes of the story when it comes to it being a school setting plot. I really love how this author wrote this story. It's short, it's not imposing, it's not overwhelming, it's not loud. It's not smothering me with too much details for the story to become relevant or for the story to become emotional. Because the emotional part, I witnessed that through the monologues and the dialogues of the characters. Like, that is showing. That's not telling, that's showing. Because you know how some Wattpad stories can be overwhelming and they're really shoving it in our faces that, oh, you have to be emotional about this character because of insert flowery words and insert long paragraphs. There's really nothing wrong about long paragraphs, not gonna lie. But if you are just using to overexert the emotions that are part of your story, it's not gonna work, darling. I like that this is just straightforward. We are witnessing whatever is happening with June and the rest of the characters. That I like it like that. It's descriptive, yes, but like I said, it doesn't overcompensate by using a lot of flowery words. And the plot definitely grows on you as much as Rave is growing on to June's character. Also, can we just, there's actually something romantic about the way this author, Overthinking Pen, uses the clouds, right? The weather. So Overthinking Pen uses the rain as a sort of analogy to what June is currently feeling at the moment. If the rain starts pouring loud, if the rain starts pouring absolutely bad, that is June's love. That is how June is trying to stop her emotions from overflowing, from showing. And I think that's actually really genius. Is the story relevant to the genre? Yeah, because a lot of people, especially nowadays for students, a lot of them are introverted. There's actually a study conducted here in the Philippines that is ambivert a real thing. And then they started talking about the difference between an extrovert and an introvert, and then the ambiverts. I don't know if I can find that again. They found out that a lot of the students nowadays, especially in university, a lot of you guys are actually introverted. So I think this story, yes, is very relevant now. Because let's be honest, a lot of introverts, we do have a lot of self-doubting here and there, right? It's really just on how we perceive ourselves. It doesn't necessarily make it true. And you know what? We all need therapy. That's why I always say in this channel, we need therapy. We need help. Now, what can I say about the story's development? I think it really helped that June is not a loud character. She does see specific details about maybe even Rave's dimple, how his eyes would light up whenever the sun is there. You know, that sort of subtle hints that makes a big difference on how we see or how we imagine a character. And that is exactly the kind of writing, the story developments that happens in this book. There's a lot of details placed into this story. And oh my god. Okay, wait. I need you to really check out page 44 and page 45, because that part, oh my god, I'm getting excited. Because that part in the story was tension built in, oh my god, that part where Rave finally confessed. I was like, dude, just say it, And then there's another part, they were eating like chocolate bars, and then he goes, Rave goes on and like bites on her chocolate bar, and I'm like, oh my god! That is exactly the kind of tension that I want for my light stories, for my light romantic novels. Like I said, I've already calmed down. This is actually a fresh perspective when it comes to reading and writing about light romance, in contrast of all the other stories and books that I'm currently reading. It doesn't really push. It doesn't really overwhelms the readers, me in particular. And there's a lot of nice PSAs in this story as well. Is the ending satisfactory? Yes. Is this book a hype book? No, I say this is actually very much underhyped, which is exactly why I'm talking about it, because I need you to read the story. If you don't have 190 pesos, go on Wattpad, links in the description, read the story. I'm not kidding. Save this on your TBR. It's a very cute story. It's a very light one. And I'm telling you, the story's quality, the writing quality. Okay, sure, there's still a little bit of development that needs to be done, but it's so good. If you are looking for a book that is an easy read, very fast, you can gift to your friends, your family, or you can just read it in one sitting. You're in a book cafe or wherever you are, and you just want a book in your hand that's light and romantic and does have very nice writing. This in itself is a quality book at such a humble price. If I were an author, I would love to be published under this imprint. You wanna know why? Because this imprint is kind of like in the hush-hush side of things. I'm just gonna let all of the people scammer off to the big ones. I'm just gonna go with this one and be like an underground sort of hush-hush author. And then I'm gonna let my readers yap about my book. Kind of like what I'm doing right now. Because really, if this is the kind of quality that you have for a price of 190 pesos, god damn it, this is so good. Because quality-wise, sleeve, look at that. See? Sleeve, minimalist cover. Come on. You don't get that from the usual mainstream publishers. And there's still not a lot of authors under this imprint. So it's gonna be easy for you, darling, to get inside this imprint, to be hired in this imprint. So if you're actually being really smart about your stories and your career as an author, you might want to check out Manila Pop. Alright, my battery is almost dying. I need to go.